All right, here's a question where we're asked to find the speed of Sarah's car on the first part of the trip. Okay, so she traveled 20 miles per hour on the first 160, then it did on the remaining 80. Okay, I gotta draw this out. So she went 160 miles, and I don't know how fast she went, but she went 20 miles an hour faster on this one than she did on the last 80. So the last 80 is here. That's 80 miles. And then the total time for the whole thing was 4 hours. And then, so this one, her speed, I don't know, well, it's 20 miles an hour faster than this. So let's call this one T, no, speed. Instead of T for time, let's do, say, S for speed. So this one will be S, and then this one is 20 miles an hour faster than that one. Okay, so I do know I have a formula, distance equals rate times time. And since they're giving me the time for both of those, maybe I'll solve this equation for t. So divide both sides by r, I'd get this. So then if I do that for each of these pieces right here, whoops, so the time for the first section, time for the first is the distance, it's 160 miles, divided by the rate is s plus 20. And then the time for the second part is 80 miles, and the speed was s, or the rate was s. But I know that t1 plus t2 is equal to 4 hours. So this I can plug in for t1, and this I'll plug in for t2. So I have 160 over s plus 20 plus 80 over s is equal to 4. And now I'll look for a lowest common denominator, which will be s times s plus 20, and I'll multiply every term by that. S times s plus 20, s times s plus 20. So in the first one, the s plus 20s go, so I am left with 160s. The next one, the s's go, so I'm left with 80 times s plus 20. And then on this side, I have 4s times s plus 20. Now let's multiply everything together. I need a bit more room here. So 160s plus 80s plus 1600 equals 4s squared plus 80s. Since my s squared is here, I'll bring everything over to the right side. So it'll be 0 equals 4s squared, and then plus 80s minus 160s minus 80s. So that's those taken care of, and then minus 1600. Do I have everything? I gotta have everything. Collecting like terms. 80 minus 80 is nothing, so this would be negative 160s minus 1600. Now, everything's divisible by 4, so let's divide everything by 4. 160 divided 4 would be 40s, and 1600 divided by 4, I think that's 400. Okay, so now I need to factor that. So I need two numbers that multiply to 400 and add to 20. Oh, do I have my signs right? So multiply to negative 400 and have the difference of 40. So 20 times 20 is 400, but one of them has to be negative. So that can't be. 40 times 10? No. How about 25 times 15? No. Gee, I don't think I can factor that. And just looking at it, I don't think I can factor that. So I would go into the quadratic formula. So minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And when you plug that all in, you get two numbers. One of them is negative, the other one will be positive. and I think it's like 48.2 or 48.3, something like that. And so that would be s. And so that'll be the speed of the second trip. So that'll be this speed right there. So that's 48. So if that's 48, and they say how fast were they going in the first part of the trip, so it'd be 48 plus 20. So I think I'd be going with 68. Okay, hopefully that helps you with that question.